A wealthy woman mocks a struggling single mom at a grocery store. But what happens next? You'll want to stick around for the full story to find out. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We absolutely love sharing the best stories with our incredible viewers worldwide. It was a cold Saturday morning, and the grocery store was packed with shoppers. Among them was a woman named Sarah, a single mom in her early 30s. She wasn't wearing anything fancy, just a cozy sweater and jeans. Her hair was tied up in a messy bun, and she looked exhausted, like she hadn't gotten a decent night's sleep in weeks. But despite her worn-out appearance, Sarah wore a warm smile as she pushed her cart down the aisles, with her little daughter, Lily, sitting in the seat of the cart, happily munching on a snack. Sarah carefully selected her items, checked the prices, and made sure she stuck to her budget. She wasn't rich, but she worked tirelessly to provide for Lily. Every penny mattered, and she had become accustomed to making sacrifices to make sure her daughter had everything she needed. In the same store was another woman named Victoria. Victoria was in her late 40s and the total opposite of Sarah. Dressed head to toe in designer clothes, with a diamond bracelet sparkling on her wrist and a handbag that likely cost more than Sarah's entire monthly rent, she walked through the store with an air of arrogance. Her heels clicked loudly on the floor as she strolled. She wasn't there to shop for herself. She had staff for that. She was only there to grab a few specialty items for a dinner party she was hosting that evening. As fate would have it, Sarah and Victoria crossed paths in the same aisle. Sarah was comparing prices on a cereal box, while Lily giggled and pointed at the brightly colored boxes on the shelf. Victoria, on the other hand, was scanning the shelves impatiently for a specific brand of imported olive oil. When her eyes briefly landed on Sarah and Lily, her perfectly manicured eyebrows raised slightly as she took in their appearance. Without missing a beat, Victoria let out a small, condescending laugh and said, "You know, if you can't afford the good stuff, maybe you shouldn't be shopping here." For a moment Sarah froze, unsure if she had actually heard that right. She turned to look at Victoria, who was now smirking as if she had just said something clever. Sarah's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but she quickly regained her composure. She wasn't the type to make a scene, especially not in front of her daughter. "I'm just trying to get what my daughter needs," Sarah said, her voice calm, though the sting of Victoria's words was evident. "Maybe if you worked harder, you wouldn't have to scrape by like this. Honestly, it's people like you who hold everyone else back." Sarah didn't respond. She just turned back to the shelf, trying to focus on her shopping. But Lily, who had been watching the exchange, looked up at her mom with wide, innocent eyes and asked, "Mommy, why is that lady being mean?" Sarah's heart ached a little at her daughter's question. She crouched down to Lily's level, gently replying, "Sometimes people say things that aren't very nice, but we don't have to let it bother us, okay?" Victoria overheard and let out another smug laugh. "Teaching your kid to settle for less, huh? No wonder you're stuck where you are." By now, a few other shoppers had noticed what was happening. Some looked uncomfortable, while others whispered disapprovingly to each other about Victoria's behavior. But Victoria didn't care. She was used to getting away with saying whatever she wanted. Sarah decided the best move was to walk away. She pushed her cart to the next aisle, trying to shake off the encounter, but as she continued shopping, a wave of anger and sadness washed over her. She had worked so hard to build a life for Lily, yet people like Victoria still looked down on her like she was nothing. Meanwhile, Victoria carried on with her shopping, completely unbothered. She finished selecting her items and headed to the checkout line. As she stood there, scrolling through her phone, she noticed a commotion near the entrance. A man in a suit had just walked in, accompanied by a few people who looked like they were part of a security detail. The man was tall, confident, and clearly someone important. Victoria's curiosity was piqued. She watched as the man scanned the store, his eyes eventually landing on Sarah, who was now in the produce section. To Victoria's shock, the man's face lit up with a big smile as he walked straight toward Sarah. "Sarah," he called, his voice warm and friendly. Sarah looked up, clearly surprised. "Oh, hi, Mr. Bennet," she said, smiling politely. Victoria's jaw almost hit the floor. "Mr. Bennet?" As in James Bennet, the billionaire philanthropist and CEO of one of the largest companies in the country. What on earth was he doing talking to someone like Sarah? James reached out and shook Sarah's hand. "It's so good to see you. How have you been?" "I've been good, thank you," Sarah replied. "Just trying to keep up with this little one." She gestured to Lily, who was shyly hiding behind her mom. James chuckled. "She's getting so big. You know, we still talk about you at the foundation. You did an incredible job with that project last year." Victoria's mind was racing. Foundation project? What was going on? James continued, "Listen, I've been meaning to reach out to you. We have another initiative coming up, and I can't think of anyone better to lead it than you. Of course, it would come with a significant raise and more flexible hours, so you can spend time with Lily. That means so much to me, Mr. Bennet. I'd love to be a part of it." As the two of them continued talking, Victoria felt like the floor had been ripped out from beneath her. She had assumed Sarah was just another struggling single mom with no future, but it was clear that Sarah was so much more. Not only did she know James Bennet personally, but she had also worked with him on some significant project, and now he was offering her an even better opportunity. Victoria suddenly felt very small. She thought back to the cruel things she had said to Sarah earlier and felt a sharp pang of guilt. She had judged Sarah based purely on her appearance, without knowing anything about her story. Eventually, James said goodbye to Sarah and walked off, leaving her to finish her shopping. Unable to hold herself back, Victoria approached Sarah. I didn't realize who you were," Victoria stammered, her tone now completely different from before. Sarah met her gaze, her expression calm but firm. "It shouldn't matter who I am. You shouldn't treat anyone the way you treated me." Victoria opened her mouth to say something, but the words failed her. She simply nodded and walked away, her face flushed with shame. As Sarah finished her shopping and headed to the checkout, she felt a quiet sense of pride. Not because of her connection to James Bennet, but because she had stayed true to herself. She had shown Lily that kindness and dignity mattered more than wealth or status. As for Victoria, she left the store that day with a lot to think about. For the first time in a long time, she realized that money and designer clothes didn't make her better than anyone else, and maybe, just maybe, it was time for her to change. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you in the next video.